Alright, hello everybody and welcome to another stream. Today we are going to be streaming a bit of Warhammer Underworlds Online, which, as we've discussed in the last few videos, is basically a digital version of a board game that was released as Warhammer Underworlds Shadespire and has evolved since through Warhammer Underworlds Nighthaunt into Warhammer Underworlds Beastgrave. It's designed by Games Workshop to be a competitive miniatures and living card game, and yeah, it's really cool. There's loads of different warbands you can play as, and they've got a fixed composition, so there's a lot of character to them. You really got to learn how your warband works, but you can construct a deck that allows you to have a bit more control over the how to put it, a bit more control over how your strategy plays out. So it's pretty cool. I very much like this game. So today, what we're going to do is actually bust open one of my old. Oh, hello, Oscar. Hello, Sean. How you going? So today, before we jump into the game directly, I just wanted to show you a few of the cards that we've got. Now, firstly, check out this deck box. This is awesome. This is a Penny Arcade deck box from an old game called UFS, Universal Fighting System. It's one of my favorite games. It's very cool. Hello, Warren, if that even is your real name. We're doing some Warhammer Underworld streaming today. We're going to be checking out some cool stuff in the game in the digital version. I'm going to be trying to transfer my old paper deck over to the game, see if all the cards are available, and whether the strategies that I used to play worked out. So yeah, here we go. Here's the cards. You've got your 3 character cards, and if you flip them, they're inspired. So that's one of the mechanics in the game that you've seen. We've got a 12 card objective deck, sleeved in orange. I'll go through these in more detail as I try to put it into the game. And we've got a 20 card power deck, which is full of ploys and upgrades for the characters. Again, I'll go into detail with that as we put them into the machine and see if it works out. So without any further ado, actually with plenty of further ado, I'm just trying to figure out why we're not getting any desktop audio sound coming from this. Can you hear the game? Either way, let's switch to the feed and see what we've got. It doesn't seem like we're getting much in the way of desktop audio coming through. So I'll have a think as to why that is in a moment, and see if we can go from there. So yeah, it's coming through the mic. That's definitely a thing. I'll turn that down. That'll change. Sunday, when I set up the stream for the Ender Dragon raid, which is now up on YouTube, please go check it out. There is a little bit of swearing, so if you've got sensitive ears, then be wary of that. But yeah, desktop audio should read, because maybe I've now that is an interesting one. I'll have to have a think. Either way, let's put this deck in just to see if it works. We don't really need sound to do this, so we'll see how it works out. I'm going to bring up the Steelheart's starter, which is the name of the deck that they've got here. Then I'm going to edit deck. Now, as you can see in the standard deck that they come with, Severin and Angharad and where is he? Oberyn all have 4 wounds, which means that standard attacks, which are generally no more than 3 damage, won't kill them in one shot unless they're using power or ploy cards to make that happen. So it is a very hardy warband, and generally people have been sort of assuming that these guys were going to be a defensive warband as a result, especially since they inspire on defense. But what it actually means is that you can chuck these guys up into the thick of things, and they can take a few hits and still dish out an absolute monster of wounds onto the enemy. So you can use that to build an objective deck that plays around very, very aggressive play. So having a look here, we'll just see the cards that they use in the starter deck include the hold objectives. Now, the hold objectives is just way too much of a variable for me. I hate it so much. This is the hold specific objectives, because if you're got a hold objective 1 in your deck, and then they manage to put one of the objectives right up the back of their battlefield, all of a sudden that's a dead card in your hand, and it's very, very risky play just for 1 glory to try and bank on that. So the first thing I do is remove these guys. Now, let's see if we can figure out how to remove them. We'll go to objectives, and we will remove all of those cards that the hold objective cards. So remove. They're no good. Now, in my deck, the one that I built previously, there's a few of these cards that are still there. So I'll just have a quick look. Awe-inspiring is there, so I'll put that there. I'll see if I've got Denial is in there. Denial. We've got have we got Annihilation? No. Have we got Eternals? No, I don't think we do. No. Have we got Sigmar's Bulwark? Bulwark? Work. What a weird word. No. And Slayers of Tyrants. Do we have that? Doesn't look like we do. So the only 2 cards that we've got here in the original deck are the ones that I've just pulled out. So Awe-inspiring and Denial are the only ones. Everything else we will get rid of. Actually, I'm pretty sure I had Lightning Strikes. Yep, I do. Lightning Strikes. Never mind. Take that back. Keep Lightning Strikes. Get rid of Sigmar's Bulwark. Get rid of Slayers of Tyrants. Well, actually, Slayers of Tyrants, again, is that a card that I should have? Nope, doesn't look like it. And scrolling down here, that's so what was the last one I have to take out? Annihilation, so get rid of that. So you could get that in an end phase if all enemy fighters have been taken out of action. In a competitive state, that's not a really good idea, because you come up against things like the Sepulchral Guard, which have 7 models and can bring them back. So that becomes a dead card again. It is a very tasty card to have at the end of the game. If you've got all of them dead, you get 5 glory for it, but it's much better to just fight them on the achievable objectives for the short term. So. Now. What are we up to? Okay, so the 3 cards that I've kept. Awe-inspiring. Score this immediately if your warband has taken 2 or more fighters out of action this phase. Very likely with this warband, because if you get a charge from one and then a charge from the other, you're pretty wrecked. Denial. Score this in the 3rd end phase if there are no enemy fighters in your territory. This deck is designed to be very aggressive, to push the fight into their side of the battlefield. So Denial is quite often a card that you capitalize on that actually pays off. And Lightning Strikes, which is, read it from the screen here, score this immediately if an enemy fighter is taken out of action by a charge action made by one of your fighters. So that's pretty much how we roll in this particular thing, because my guys are very slow. So getting into combat through charging is quite necessary, and that's usually how you take them out. So that's the thing. Feel free to ask me questions as I play, by the way. That's not a problem at all. Now, what else are we missing here? So let's start with the letter A. And hopefully, in this digital version, we will have cards that we can put into here. So it doesn't look like we have Advancing Strike. That is a shame, because Advancing Strike is a very good card. Score this immediately when your warband takes an enemy fighter standing in enemy territory out of action. It definitely compounds. So we'll just put that face down there and see if we can find something else to put in there in its place. Do we have Crushing Force? No, it doesn't look like we have Crushing Force either, which is a shame. Concerted Attack. We also don't have. Wow, this is getting rough. Contained isn't there at all either. This is not looking good at the moment. Wait, here we go. Never mind. I take that back. Maybe they just put them in a funny order. Not in alphabetical. Oh, this is good. Actually, yeah, we might actually have the cards we're looking for. Fantastic. Advancing Strike. Let's see if we can find it. We'll type it in. Advancing Strike. Bam, that goes in. Advancing Strike is when you take a warrior in the enemy territory out of action. Crushing Force. There it is. Crushing Force goes in. It scores immediately if a friendly fighter... No, not at all. Wait until we get into gameplay, Michael, because you'll find that this is a very, very cool game when it comes to the way it works. Effectively, you only have 4 activations to allocate to your guys, and once they're charged and moved, they can't do it again. So each round, there's 3 rounds, it's very, very tight. You have to very, very specifically make actions with your guys and ensure that you make the absolute most out of what they do. So yeah, it's not at all like AOS. So Age of Sigmar for those playing at home. Crushing Force. Score this immediately if a friendly fighter makes a successful attack that deals at least twice as much damage as is needed to take the target out of action. Quite often happens with this warband because they hit very, very hard, and if they're fighting against stronger, 3 rounds per game. You'll see it. It makes perfect sense once the game starts. Concerted Attack. Let's see if we can find that one. Concerted. Concerted Attack is not in there. Okay, so that's one that is missing. Shame. Contained. Contained is not in there. That's a shame. Consecrated Area, I saw that one. Consecrated Area, grab that. Seize Ground. Learn how to play spell Seize, S-E-I-Z-E. Does anyone remember their teachers telling us I before E except after C, and then turns out they were wrong about all of that? Score this in an end phase if you hold an objective in enemy territory. This goes against what I said before about the hold objectives cards. This is any objective, so you're not required to be on the specific number that the card says, which makes it very good because the way the layout of the objectives on the board happens, more often than not, there's one pretty much in the middle, just on the other side of your opponent's, on the other side of the line. If there isn't, then you can put one there in deployment. So that's a really good card to have. Seize Ground. Conquest. Conquest is scored in the 3rd end phase if all of your surviving fighters are in your opponent's territory. I before E except after C isn't real. No, it isn't. It's like the Tooth Fairy. It's a mythical creature that is designed to trick children into giving up their teeth. Anyway, Conquest. Good card. That goes in. Swift Advance. Score it in the end phase if your enemy survivor, all your surviving fighters are in enemy territory. So let's put that in as well, because it's basically the same as Conquest. So if you can shape your hand to have these 2 in it, it's very, very good. And then we've got Victorious Duel. Beautiful. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the cards. Oh, I'm sorry, Oscar. I didn't mean to spoil that for you. Now listen, son. We're going to have a talk. The Tooth Fairy is made up too. So is Santa Claus. So is the Easter Bunny. So is Carl Stefanovic. What? and the gender binary, completely made up. All to get your teeth. So concerted attack and contained. What do these two do? We're going to have to find cards to replace these now. So we've got concerted attack. Score this immediately if 3 or more friendly fighters made an attack action against the same enemy fighter in this phase. Okay, we could find something to replace that quite easily. We'll get rid of the thing now. What do you say? So that's we're looking for a card that benefits getting attacks out. I would actually be inclined to replace this one with Eternals. I know it's not a direct analog to the card that we're using, but Eternals is a really cool one just for this warband. It's scored immediately if 3 or more friendly fighters made. Sorry, reading the wrong one. Score this in the third end phase if none of your fighters are out of action. So it's a bit of a lucky card, a bit of a gamble card, but we'll put that one in. And what have we got? The hold objectives. No, sir. Slayers of Tyrants. If your warband took out an enemy leader, I reckon we should give that one a go. Yeah, Slayers of Tyrants. That'll make a good 12 cards. So that's your objective deck. The objective deck is how you score points. Glory is the point system that you've got. You need to earn glory early on in the game in order to spend those glory points to upgrade your fighters to lead into a better battle at the end. So now that we've done the objective cards, we have to do the ploys and the upgrades. So I'm just going to do a quick count. I'm going to yawn into the microphone, which is pretty bad. I noticed that Oscar hasn't said anything since I destroyed his preconceptions of reality in regards to the Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, and Karl Stefanovic. I hope he's okay. So on this side, we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, you have to excuse me for a second, guys. I've got a phone call. Never mind. No, I don't. So we've got 10 of those. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cool. 10 and 10 of upgrades. And making a township emote. Very nice. Okay, so on the ploys side, we've got Peal of Thunder, which is in the list. We've got Tireless Assault, which is not. We've got Righteous Zeal, which is in the list. Duel of Wits, which is not. Healing Potion, which is a staple, always take it. Scavenge, which is not, and might be emote, I don't know. Mighty Swing is not in this list. Distraction is not in this list. Sidestep is in this list because it is an absolutely crucial card in pretty much every deck. And Illusory Fighter is not in this list. Okay, so there's the 4 cards that we do have and the 6 cards that we don't. So let's go to the ploys and take out the cards that we don't have here and replace them with the ones that we do. So we've got Valiant Attack was... Do we decide that? It was not. Unstoppable Strike was not. Stormforge Resistance wasn't. Shardfall wasn't. Sidestep was. Righteous Zeal was. Healing Potion was. And Peal of Thunder was. So get rid of Heroic Guard. And that should be... what are we missing? Confusion's in them. Okay, so let's have a quick chat about the cards that are already in there. Sidestep, choose a friendly fighter and push them 1 hex. Very good card because it puts your guys 1 hex closer to your opponent and allows you to get into charge range. Healing Potion fixes the damage that has been done to your guys. That's an obvious one. Righteous Zeal, +1 damage to the first attack action with a range of 1 or 2 in the next activation. This is how you execute the enemy by surprise, so they're not expecting him. And Peal of Thunder, choose an enemy fighter and push them 1 hex in any direction. So it's kind of like the sidestep. You can imagine if you have both sidestep and Peal of Thunder in your hand, you could have a power phase where you place your guy 1 step closer, their guy 1 step closer, and then you can get a charge that effectively ran almost the whole length of the battlefield, which would be really cool. So those are the 4 that we've already got in there. Now let's see if we can find the next few cards. Illusory Fighter is a really neat one, but it is not in the list by the looks of it. So that's a shame. The reason I like this one is because it brings one of your fighters back to the start and puts them on one of the starting hexes, and you can use it as like a backup safety card, so it's like teleport back and land adjacent to somebody and start punching on. So we'll have to find a replacement for that. See if we've got Distraction. Excuse me. Distraction. This is another one that chooses an enemy fighter and pushes them 1 hex. Very good for controlling the battlefield. We'll put that in. That is 5. Yep. Mighty Swing. First attack with a range. Just give me a sec. Okay, so Mighty Swing. First attack action with a range characteristic of 1 in the next activation. Targets all adjacent enemy fighters. Roll for each. So you can use that to use one of your really powerful attacks and effectively swing it around in a circle and smash everything that's right near you. So that's a very good card to have, and we'll put that in. So we've now got Scavenge. Let's see if Scavenge is there. Scavenge is there. After this, after a friendly fighter's attack action, it takes an adjacent enemy fighter with an upgrade out of action, gain an additional glory point. That's cool. So it's a good late game card to punch your enemy and take a bit of momentum from them. Duel of Wits. Play this when an opponent plays a ploy. Draw 2 power cards. Now, because the game is fairly limited in the amount of cards you actually draw, especially the power cards, any card that allows you to draw more cards than your opponent gives you hand advantage and is very, very cool. So let's see if we can find a Duel of Wits in here. Yeah, we've got that. And then we've got Tireless Assault. Tireless Assault is in there. Play it after a friendly player's attack action that fails. That fighter can make another attack action that targets the same fighter. In a game like this, where even if you play to the absolute optimal and you have a guy next to an opponent each time, at the very most you've got 12 attacks throughout the game. It's very likely that you're going to fail one, and it's very important that you capitalize on all the ones you do have. So, but that makes 9 of the 10 cards. We're going to have to find another one that replaces our Illusory Fighter. If we type in Fighter, does that work? No, it brings up everything because it's a keyword. So that's no good. We can't use that. Just double check that. Haven't forgotten it? No, cool. Alright, so what are we looking for? I'm definitely going to put Confusion in place of this, because Confusion allows you to choose 2 fighters that are adjacent to each other and switch them, which in some cases can actually pull an enemy out of a situation where they're in protection, hidden behind their own guys, or it could be treated much like the sidestep that allows you to get an enemy to move closer to you. So that's my 10 ploys. Finally, we just need to get the 10 upgrades. Now, as I mentioned before, the upgrades are paid for with glory points. You don't lose the point, it just becomes used. You flip it over if it's a token in the real game, but in the video game it tracks that a little bit better for you. So the upgrades are permanent attachments to your fighters. So let's see what we've got here in the upgrades. that we might already have. Starting from the top, do we have block? No, we do not. So we will take block out of the equation. Do we have brave strike? No, we do not. So that comes out. Great fortitude. Yes, we do. Keep that. Great speed. Do we have that? I think I might have taken that one out. I think originally it was in here, but I got rid of that one. But we do have great strength. Heroic might. Do we have heroic might? We do. Heroic might is an upgrade for Steelheart and Oberyn that gives the attack actions cleave. Very convenient to have because cleave means that you ignore shields when it comes to doing damage. And shield being the most effective defensive dice to roll, it is very good when you can ignore them. So that goes in. Heroic might. Cool. Get that out of the way. Heroic stride. Now we do have heroic stride here, so I want to put that in. Heroic stride is for Steelheart, and after an enemy fighter ends their activation within 2 hexes of this fighter, you can push this fighter 1 hex. So basically, if they end next to him, he can just step in straight away and start punching. The next card is Lightning Blade. Do we have that one? No, we do not. We're getting rid of it. Lightning Blast. Do we have that? Nope. Get rid of that. Righteous Strike. Yes, we do. Righteous Strike is for Bright Shield. Angharad Bright Shield, one of my favorite models. It's a reaction. After this attack action, if it failed and the target was an enemy leader, make this attack action again. Very cool for ensuring that you get as much damage out on the leader as possible. And Shield Bash, we do not want or have. Which leaves 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we've got the last 5 cards which we didn't find in that list. So what is missing here? Fatal Riposte. Let's see if we can find Fatal Riposte. Fatal Riposte is an upgrade for Steelheart. During an attack action that targets this fighter and fails, roll an attack dice on a roll of hammer or critical. This fighter cannot be driven back and they can make an attack action. It must target the attacker. Very cool. That goes in. Blessed by Sigmar. See if that one's here. Blessed by Sigmar. +1 wounds. It's good for when you're getting guys in the thick of things. Put that in. Legendary Swiftness. Yep. Add 1 to your movement. Soul Trap. Soul Trap is not there. So Soul Trap, during an attack action or ploy that takes this fighter out of action, roll a defense dice. If you roll a shield or a critical, they suffer no damage and are not taken out of action. And you discard this upgrade. So basically it's like a second life card, which is really cool. So we'll see if we can find a replacement for that. And we'll go Helpful Whispers. And that doesn't seem to be there. Yeah, I feel like I've actually played with this card before in this game, so it's a bit weird that I can't find it, but they're sorted by release. Yeah, okay, cool. Alright, so there's 2 cards that we're going to have to replace these with. So we'll go remove the search here, and yeah, look, we'll put... let me see. I'm going to put Brave Strike in for Oberyn. And I'm going to put Lightning Blast on for Oberyn as well. These aren't great replacements, but they'll help. It's a good Lightning Blast. I think is particularly fun because then you put it on Oberyn and then you charge him out of nowhere, and then he does some damage, and he absolutely smashes everyone who's sort of like close up around. So it's pretty cool. Sweet. I'm just getting some messages from some people. Yeah. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm getting the Harry Potter miniatures that I showed in a video commission painted. I just switched to here. I'm getting them commission painted, and these are the Death Eaters, and they look phenomenal. That is awesome. Awesome stuff. Okie dokie. All right. Alrighty. So we've done that. We've got that that deck somewhat close to put in. We'll call it Steelheart Aggressive. Sound good? Steelheart Aggressive. Yeah. And we will save that. I don't know how to get out of this without accidentally not saving it. Uh-oh. I hope I didn't lose everything. Yeah, sweet. So that's Steelheart Aggressive. That's good. Good. Legal for online match. Good. So what we want to do... no, cancel. I don't want to do that. I want to save the changes. Where is the Save the Changes button? I don't like this. I specifically don't like when you don't have the ability to save the deck. In the middle of the screen at the top. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Quick X Silver, who I don't know. Who is that? You from the shop? Or are you just visiting? So for those of you who just jumped in, it seems to be picking up a little bit at the moment. We're getting a few more viewers. I am Mitchell. I own a shop in Nowra in New South Wales in Australia. We are obviously in a sort of a lockdown scenario, so I've decided to start streaming some of the activities that I get up to, and it's been a long time. I was very heavily into Shadespire when that was a thing, but I sort of bought the shop instead of playing any more games. Good trick if you ever want to try and quit playing games. I recommend buying a game store because you never have the time to actually play them. You know, it's been really good having this time to get stuck back into Warhammer Underworlds through the digital version, and also gave me an excuse to dust off some of my old stuff. So today we've loaded in my my Steelhearts deck, which was a very aggressive Steelhearts deck, designed to jump in and do as much damage to the opponent as quickly as possible. Yeah, so we're playing off my laptop, so the resolution isn't great, but it looks like we've got what we wanted done, so we'll go back. It's set to Steelheart Aggressive. Let's do a bot match for the moment, and let's play against something a bit different that we haven't before. Votes. Who wants to see me play against Magor's Fiends? Let's do that. No, we've done that already, haven't we? Iron Skulls, boys. Let's play against the Oryx. How's that sound? No handicap. It is a very aggressive deck. Now, I do need to figure out why I can't get any desktop audio going. What I should do actually is bring up I'm just going to tab out where are we? So if I switch that to, there you go. So now you guys have the sound. Drop that down a little bit, but I do not, which is annoying. But I think it's because I started this instance of OBS Studio before I started the audio, fixed the audio. So that's annoying, but we will be all right. I'm sure I'll figure out what's going on visually. Look, they've picked the mirror well. I'm going to pick a board that allows me to place all three of my warriors within very close proximity to the edge of the board, so I can ensure that I can jump up in there and start punching them as quickly as possible without letting too many of them past. Cataphragm's Reliquary has... So if we placed along this edge here, then we'd have... look, I like this one. We'll do that. Confirm. And now we get to choose how it lines up with the opponents. Now, I'll just check. Is Michael still in here? Looks like he's escaped. Michael, Lord of the Bollards. Basically, what we want to do is place this against their board, probably here, because it's got a bit of a bottleneck. It prevents them from getting their guys through onto our side, and also allows us to dictate where and when the charges happen. So that's a really good spot. So 1, 2, 3 for Oberyn and Co. We'll put them there. So we'll confirm that. That seems like a pretty good layout. Now we will place given that they're a bot, their deck probably has hold objective cards in there, so we want to sort of give them an excuse to try and get past us. Right there. Cool. As I mentioned before, very likely... So give me a second, this is another customer asking me questions, which is always a bit important when you need to make some money. Okay, I'll get back to that one in a little bit. Alright, so let's see what we got in our opening hand. Awe-inspiring. If we take 2 or more fighters out of action in this phase, Eternals at the very end, and Advancing Strike is when your warband takes an enemy fighter standing in enemy territory out of action. Okay, so like I'll be honest, I don't actually very much like this this opening hand because it's an end game card, and we have to sort of make sure that we've got the enemy fighters in place to be able to take 2 out of action. So that might be a dead card this hand. Advancing Strike, when it takes an enemy fighter standing in enemy territory out of action. Now, if I remember correctly, Iron Skull's boys are 4 wounds guys. I'm going to redraw this hand because it's very unlikely that it will score any of those in this turn. And also 4 upgrades and 1 ploy. I'm going to redraw that because so they all get discarded, but we can't spend the glory we don't have on those upgrades. We won't get glory unless we're using our ploys to our absolute best. So I'm going to redraw this hand as well. Not super great plan, to be honest, but it's there we go. We've got a charge action card. We've got a victorious duel if our leader takes out the enemy leader. So let's see if we can make that happen. And we've got 5 ploys, so that should be good for controlling the battlefield. We've got Peal of Thunder. We've got we've got Sidestep. We've got Duel of Wits. We're in a good spot. So I will get them to, what's that, 4? Those are my 3. So it doesn't really matter whether he goes first or not. I'm always going to have finished placing my fighters first. So let's say go. He's put Gozag Iron Skull. He's the leader, so he will inspire once he's taking damage. This makes things a bit complicated because I'm going to have to damage him twice because he's got 5 wounds. My main attack is 3 wounds, I think, on Severin. So regardless, I'm going to have to do some messing around to make that work. So either way, let's get... I do like to play Oberyn over here. We get Unhearted up here. And we'll get Severin down here. And we are ready to rumble. Now they've got their 4 guys there, and you'll notice that their attacks aren't all super powerful. Like they're 2 attacks, 2 damage attacks, 1 damage attacks. It's just the fact that they get a bonus for getting stuck into things. I'm going to get them to go first, because the hope is that they'll move one of the guys in, and I'll be able to start charging them. I can actually charge with all 3 of them at the moment on that guy, which is good. But what I would probably prefer is that they charge a guy in here, and I can just sort of start punishing them for doing that. It also allows me to get a power phase before my next thing, so I'll tell them to go first. Activation. Activation 1. Yep, there's the charge. It's going to do 3 damage, and he's going to knock her back. No, he's not going to knock her back. For some reason, he's played Shardfall in the middle of nowhere. That's weird. I'll do that to draw 2 cards, because why not? My turn to play a Power Step card. I'm going to... Yeah, I'm going to Peal of Thunder, push, choose an enemy fighter, choose him there, push him this way, because what it does is it brings these 2 into a situation where they've got their assists both in action. Confusion, you can swap fighters, and then +1 damage to the next attack, but his... it's a 3... what's he got? It's only a 3 wound attack, so I'll pass. If he was one of the 4 wound guys, I would have thought about that, but there's really no point. What we're looking at here is if your leader takes an enemy leader out of action. So what I want to do is charge him, with Oberyn. So that way. Hit him for 3. Sweet. So that does... So 2 dumb to die. What do you get that for? Scores immediately if a friendly fighter suffers 3 or more damage in a single attack and is not taken out of action. Yeah, neat. See what I mean? The orcs have cards and strategies that benefit getting into the fight, whether you win it or not. So that's the thing. I will not drive back the target because I want him to be within melee range of Severin Steelheart next turn. Now, I don't need to add any damage to that, so I'm good. So he does the damage. He's done 2 damage to Oberyn. I'd like to hold on to Confusion, because what we can do, like Severin can punch this guy, and then we can play Confusion, switching those 2 around. Actually, no, that won't work because he'll be dead, won't he? But we can get him into space. That's not a problem. Righteous Seal, first +1 damage to the next attack. We don't need that either. But we'll just pass this at the moment and hope that Severin's able to do the damage that we want. On this guy, doing this attack. That's a hit. The reason that was a hit was because... Oh, we got last lunge. So the reason that was a hit was because we had 2 warriors. Yeah, no, you have to be heaps tactical with your activations. So like, as I mentioned, see over here how he's got 2 of his activations done for this round. I've just done my second activation. Ooh, can I? No. Yes, I can. So sweet, I will get an extra thing. I just got the Victorious Jewel because my leader took his leader out. for glory points, and we've only had 2 activations, so that was an absolutely phenomenal play. Not tooting my own horn a bit, but I'm totally really good at this game. Reaction: after an enemy fighter enters activation within 2 hexes of this fighter, you can push this fighter. So I'm going to play that upgrade on Severin, because he's going to get a free movement if their enemy tries to charge in any stage. So that's really cool. Then we're going to play Confusion. No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. If I swapped those 2, then Oberon becomes really he gets put in a high risk spot, because he's going to get hit by a charge from these guys who have 3 movement. Oh, it actually isn't too bad. What I would like to do is move him within space of Severin, so Severin can get a free attack without having to charge. So I might actually do that. I might Confusion. No, we shall not. It's not my activation, it's his activation next. So we'll pass. We'll let him do the activation, then we'll play our power cards. Something we used to forget all the time. And we'd play a card saying that the next activation gets plus attacks, and then it's your opponent's actual activation, not yours. So power step. Now we will play the Confusion. So he's just moved. He can still attack as much as he likes, as long as the warriors are adjacent to him. He can't charge though, and he can't move again in this particular round. So you've got to wait until another 2 activations later for that to work. So we're going to hit up Confusion. So we're going to play Confusion. We're going to swap this guy and this guy, and they are going to swap around. And then we were going to play. How much damage does he do? 3 damage. We're going to try and play Righteous Zeal, +1 damage to the first attack action with a range of 1 or 2 in the next activation. So we'll do that. And then we will play Sidestep. Because we want to bring Angharad in here to get our assists going. The hope is that he can't reach on this turn. And we will pass. Third activation. Severin is going to attack this guy with this, and it should do an extra 1 damage if it hits. Bam! You're dead, buddy. Pretty good. We do. Sorry about that, guys. The perils of owning a game store means that you've got to be on your toes. So what just happened? I killed that guy. So I basically brought in Angharad using the sidestep specifically so that I would get the full complement of bonuses over here. You can see having 3 people adjacent to the target. So that worked, and now Severin still has no, he hasn't moved and he hasn't charged, so I can actually bring him up again to do some damage. And Angharad is in a really risky spot, so I want to make sure that I get Severin in between the 2 of them on the next turn. So they've got 2 warriors. They're going to try and charge and try and get us, but I don't know if it's going to work out. Also, at the end of this round, is it third end phase, and That's if someone is taken out of action by a charge. So I don't think we're going to get that one this turn. But I mean, we've already won. Like we're 4 ahead. We can prevent them from getting into our side. So denial is pretty much a given, and conquest is quite easy. Given that if these guys die, all I need to do is get one guy over there by the end of the 3rd round. So that's quite a good situation to be in. So we'll pass. They have a power step. I have a power step. No. Okay, cool. He's gonna move in. Power step. Nope. So positioning. Let's talk positioning again. Severin could move up in here and charge this guy. The reason I'd like to do that is because if on the next activation, or the next round, we're about to have the last activation of the round, if they want to try and kill Untitled, it means that you're going to have to get through 3 assists, 2 assists, which means pretty much every icon on the dice is considered a success in some way. So that's pretty important to take note of. So I'm going to charge this guy with that. So even though that was a draw, I rolled a hammer, he rolled a shield. Because they came up even, I still get to drive this guy back. So I want to drive him back. Doesn't really matter at this point. I'll drive him back there. The reason I'm driving him back is because it puts a gap between us. And by putting a gap between us, it means he has to charge, which means that he will not be able to make another action, like an attack action or movement action with that model after doing that charge. So in the next round, where there's 4 activations, it means that 2 of his activations are largely going to be wasted because he's not going to be able to do anything with them. Whereas what I've been doing is manipulating the board so that I'm just attacking, you know, pretty much adjacent to the models. So give me a second. Okay, so that's the reason I did that. It's quite a important thing to remember the positioning in this game, so that you don't find yourself wasting your activations, making the absolute most of them. So we'll pass, just so that we're clear on the power step each turn. Do they just discard Shardfall? I swear they played Shardfall last turn. How did they have 2 Shardfalls? Weird. Okay, so discard my objectives. I don't actually particularly want to discard any of the objectives because I want to hold on to those at the end because they're almost givens. But I will get rid of the lightning strikes just so that we can clear up our hand a little bit. I'm not relying on a charge to pull me out of action to kill things. So we'll hit the pass button. Play on upgrades. Don't have any. I already spent them. Hit the play pass button. Draw my cards. There we go. And then we roll for first turn in round 2. Looks like they're going to decide who gets first. They're going to take the action first. They're going to charge in at Severin, weirdly enough. Which didn't make any difference because, yeah, that's a bit strange. It is a little bit strange indeed. Heroic Stride. After an enemy fighter ends their activation within 2 hexes. See you later, mate. Within 2 hexes of this fighter, you can push this fighter 1 hex, but I don't particularly want to at this stage because he's got an attack on the enemy that's going to have the full complement of assists, which is really, really good. What I don't want to do is let them get through to Oberyn straight away. I have to try and figure out a way of protecting him. So we'll pass on that reaction. Waiting for him to play a power card. I get to play a power card, then he gets to play a power card. Oh, we've got an Alan. Alan has entered the building, guys. We have an Alan. It's a frozen gnomes in the flesh. Do you want to buy your damn tank? Nearly sold it to someone else today, mate. Nah, it's alright. I didn't actually. I'm streaming and recording, so you're welcome to come over and watch the process if you like. Mitch smells. You hear that? Hear that? That's one of my illustrious mods telling me that I smell. What a jerk. Illustrious. Okay, so I've got upgrades. I've got 4 glory here, and basically I can upgrade across the board. So what we want to do here, Brave Strike. Hit this on Oberyn. We will upgrade Oberyn. Invisible Can hides my face. We will put Legendary Swiftness on. I don't know who to put that on. I'm going to put +1 wounds on Oberyn. I'm going to put Legendary Swiftness on Oberyn? I don't know. I just loaded them all up. Now it's my turn, so I'm going to get an attack here. But I'm not super fussed about... because the next attack, they're probably going to charge Oberyn. And I mean, that guy cannot do the damage to Oberyn that he needs to, so I'm not worried. I'm just going to pass. I'm not going to play that Mighty Swing yet, even though I could use that to put Severin up in between them and do some damage. But what I want to do is probably chip this guy down by 1 attack on my first activation. We can do that with Unhearted because she's in the right spot, or we could do it with Severin, who's probably going to do more damage, but I don't want to kill this guy straight away. If I kill him straight away, then it's going to open up the gap that they could potentially get through and kill Unhearted. So by having that guy there, he's protecting us. So what I might do is actually hit him with Oberyn. He's got a 3 damage attack that has Cleave. He's got a 3 damage attack that has Knockback. Now these guys block on shields. Is that right? Yeah, they block on shields. So we will hit him with the Cleave attack that this guy's got. Overhead Strike does 3 damage. Look at that. And we're not going to drive him back. We're just going to pass. We're going to leave him right there because he's in the way and prevents Unharried from getting attacked. Positioning. Mighty Swing. Your first attack action with range. Blah, blah, blah. It's not his because it's his turn next, so we don't want to play that. Yep, he's going to come in to try and thump Oberyn. Oberyn very effectively blocks that. Now, see that he's done his 2 actions. Both of them were charges, which means his next 2 actions can't be allocated to these guys in any way meaningfully. So I'm in a good spot. What he can do in place of those actions is to ditch cards and draw cards, which can shape his hand for a better scoring opportunity at the end. But really, I don't think there's any sort of worry there. See, I've got nothing but 3rd end phase cards. So I'll Swift Advance. If all your fighters are in enemy territory, probably not going to do that this turn, so I'm not stressed. But yeah, I'll hold it to next turn. What's this one do? All adjacent enemy fighters? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do Mighty Swing, because now we can Mighty Swing with Oberyn and hit everyone and potentially open up to clear the board by the end of this turn. I've still got 3 activations here to think about. So as I think I've tried to explain a bunch of times, in the power phase, which happens after each activation, we take turns playing a power card. So That's why I have to pass, and then he has a choice, then I have a choice, and he has a choice. And once we've both not done a card, both of us have neglected to play one, that's when that phase ends. So the activation, we shall activate Oberyn. We will hit with the cleave, the overhead strike, and we will do it against this guy first. Two swords, doesn't do anything. The next one will swing around at Basher. Oh, actually, we'll do that. We'll hit him with the cleave attack. So we had a reaction there that allowed us to play that card if we missed an attack, which we did. So now that's done 3 damage to him. And oh, excuse me, getting phone calls again. Pretty soon, everyone in Nara will have called me to ask for PlayStation controllers, and finally, everyone will have learned. So, as you can see there, we just comboed up a whole bunch of cards to get a whole bunch of damage out, and so now he's in a really bad position because we did the 3 damage to him. We missed that first attack. I used a reaction card to give me another chance at an attack, which I did, which succeeded, and then the other one swung around and hit the other guy. So that really worked out well for us. We've done a lot of damage. Now, it is the power step. We have got no power cards to play. They've got power cards to play, but don't know if they're going to. Nothing. Activation. Activation 3. They can't do anything. They're just going to discard a card. Go to the... Yeah. No idea what's going on here. Because he has no options. Now, because Oberyn hasn't moved, he hasn't charged, he can hit him again, which will be very good. So let's do it. Let's punch Hacker. Let's hit him with a cleave shot because it'll prevent his shields from helping. It was a failed attack. That's okay. We've still got another 2 of those to worry about over the course of this round. Now we can attack one more time here if we like. Or we could have Severin charge in, which will give us a more chance of doing that last little bit of damage. So we'll do that. We'll charge Severin in. Charge. That was awful. So that's not great. That's not great. I mean, we've got denial and conquest, so we're pretty much guaranteed to get the 5 points at the end of this. Because even if he kills half my guys, we can still just move them away at the last turn into their side, and that'll prevent them from. That'll give us conquest. What we want to do is try and kill this guy. The only real risk here at the moment is if Hacker runs around here and hits Unhearted in the face. So we're not worried at all. We're about to go through another process where what have we got left? Alright, so Alan's making people laugh. Oh, please do, please do. Please do. What have we got? Oh, dearie me. That's like Alright, so Alan's just giggled and said, I have a new task.
I must make it.
Mate, that's like a cross between an orc bomber jet and like Madonna in the 80s or something. That's the thing. Okay, have fun.
Also looks like it's going to be expensive because those are those drill things you get from Forge World, I think.
From Forge World, wow, that's expensive.
Are they those Forge World drills?
So anyway, we've got a decision
Drag
here.
drills.
At the end of every round, which there's 3 in the game, you can discard and redraw your objective cards to sort of clean up your hand and get a hand that you might pay off a bit better. At the moment, these 2 only pay off at the end of the 3rd round, which we're about to go into. And this one here, Swift Advance, it's scored in an end phase if all of your fighters are in enemy territory. I can't remember what we've gone through, and I can't remember what we've got left. So 5 of our 10 objective cards, 12 objective cards. So what I might do is actually ditch this one because there might be a chance to get a better card to replace it. Sorry, it is a bit of a sketchy video today. We've got distractions happening all over the place, Alan.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? You're supposed to be on your computer at home moderating my Twitch chat. These 7 viewers are getting out of hand, Alan.
Well, go yell at Oscar to tell you to moderate.
Oscar, hurry up and pull up Alan's Slack.
Yeah, my Slack would be sitting there and forgetting I had you on there and you forget, oh shit, I'm supposed to be watching Mitch.
Yeah, we're a good crew here. So we've just started this one. I'm going to get the first turn. Well, I'm going to choose the first turn. I get to make a decision. Consecrated area. Score this in an end phase if there are no enemy fighters adjacent to your fighter. So I'm going to get that, provided I kill this guy. I'm going to select the player who goes first. I don't even have enough power cards left because I've played them all. But I'm winning quite hard. I'm going to go first. I'm going to hit this guy with everything I've got. Oberyn, smash him. Oberyn, go. Hit him with the cleave attack. Hit him with the cleave attack. Do it. Boof. Bam, he's dead. So, that was activation 1. Activation 2 is going to be moving Severin into enemy territory. Activation 3, moving Oberyn into enemy territory. Activation 4, moving Angharad into enemy territory. And that will give you both Denial and Conquest for a resounding victory. Might as well play this out. We'll just put extra wounds on Angharad just for the fun of it. We'll put Heroic Might on Angharad just for the fun of it. No, has to be Steelheart or Oberyn. Already had cleave on that attack, so it didn't really matter. We will then pass. Now, he's got no fighters left on the battlefield, but that's okay. He can still do stuff in the power step, and he can also discard and redraw cards. But this has been an absolute flogging so far. Activation 2. Let's move Angharad as far up into enemy territory as we can. Move. And then we'll move Oberyn. No, wait, we can't do that yet. We've got to do the power step. Go away. Go away. Go away, card. No, I didn't want to do that. Pass. See, I can't even play this last power card because I've got no enemy fighters left. Power step. We want to move. Oh, still power step. Sorry. Activation 3. Activation 3. We will move Oberyn up into enemy territory. Let's just go sit on his objective 5 just for the fun of it. We'll hit the move button. Run, Oberyn, run. Yeah, boy. We'll pass. They'll pass probably because well, they'll play a card just for the fun of it. No reason. Then they'll play... They did nothing. Nothing here. Activation 4. So, obviously, this line here is the no man's land. So this is neither territory. For denial, we want to make sure there's no enemy fighters in our territory, which we've got. And conquest, score this in the third end phase if your surviving fighters are all in your opponent's territory, which we shall do now. We'll put them right up in the thick of it. We'll always sit on their objective 3. Why not? It doesn't hurt at all. Look at that. Look at that. Super, super aggressive Stormcast. I told ya, it works. It works in an absolutely insane way. So, I love this. I love this deck. I love this play style. I love being able to dictate where and when your opponents get to engage you by having your boards matched up, sort of like perpendicularly, like not straightly. You know what I mean? And having that. I was just told gay. I am gay. I'm not gay, Sean. Honestly, it's all right. Anyway, so the game is basically won here. I can't really do much else. I've got 7 points. They're going to do their final activation, their final power step. I'm going to hit the pass button on my power step because I haven't got any cards to play. Checking my objectives. I'm going to score this one. That's another 2 points. And then I'm going to score denial. That's another 3 points. That brings me up to 12 total points. 13 because I had the consecrated area because none of the enemies were adjacent to me. Interesting note, you can score that one if you've got no guys on the field. They didn't even get one. So that's a very, very resounding victory. 12-point spread on that one. Okay, so yeah, look, I mean, just as a terrible example against the bots, it doesn't really help prove my point very well. But yeah, Good Games Now wins by a glory total of 13-1 is pretty crazy. That's the deck that I play in the paper version, or I used to play back when Shadespire was rocking in the store locally before I owned it. Now that I do own it, I'd really like to see this game come back. So I'd like to see a bit more of this sort of tactical miniatures game get a bit of a look in. We've got heaps of old warbands kicking around. We have actually got 12 warbands constructed in the store and the cards for them. So we will be able to run demo games with the models that you want to try out, the warbands that you want to try out, so that when Games Workshop is open again and open for business and doing their shipping, we can order the ones that you want, or you can buy from the stock that we've already got in the shop. We've got plenty of those. Even though the cards themselves rotate out, like in Magic, the miniatures themselves, the warbands, still continue on. So you can always pick up one of the old warbands and get them into the mix. They all play completely differently. Oh, excuse me, I'm making my selfie on here. But yeah, look, that was really, really good. We've been talking for an hour and a quarter, so I'm going to disappear for a little bit. But we are going to try to do some streaming tonight, probably some Magic, in place of the Tuesday night standard, which we normally run at the shop. For those of you who are interested in painting miniatures, please go and check out the Discord server, which is I'll actually type this in, twitch.tv/BigDHREZA I've got that in my head already. No, that's wrong. That was not. Actually, never mind. Take that entirely back. I'm a little bit tired. It's actually discord.tg/DHREZA like that. The twitch.tv is us. Twitch.tv/GG now. Can I delete that? That doesn't work that way, does it? That's a real shame. But yeah, please jump into the Discord if you're interested in painting. We've got a painting competition running at the moment, which will close for entries on Friday. Then we'll have a week of voting, and once the voting is done, the Friday after that, we'll be announcing the winners via stream and doing some really cool stuff. So Guys, thank you very much for viewing this, and check it out on the YouTube. This will be video number 4. It's not going to go up until tomorrow because at 4 p.m. today we've got a video going up which is not a stream of the digital game, but actually a quick peek inside the boxes of the tabletop game, because the tabletop game is really, really cool. Alright, well that's it then, I guess. I'm going to jump out and you guys keep it real, and remember that I won by 12 points, so I know what I'm talking about. See you later.